All right, guys, Bandit and I are at the cabin doing a little bit more work. Here's Bandit. Here's Bandit. He likes to sit there in the sun. Say hi. So we're doing some work, and there's something I thought I might show you. You can see almost all the insulation is torn out, and you can see where this tar paper is torn up. That was where rodents had made nests and destroyed that. So I'm going to tear out some of this insulation, show you how damaging rodents can be, because even if you get rid of them, what you'll find is that walls that you thought were insulated are not actually insulated anymore, because they've used that material to make their nests. So in this example of this house, this is a very bad infestation of squirrels and mice that were here. But I'll show you on this section here. This looks like well insulated, or at least at one point good fiberglass insulation. But look, there's no insulation in these cavities because the mice have torn it up, or I think probably squirrels in this case have torn it up, and most of your wall is not going to be insulated anymore. Looks like there's probably another void up here. Yeah. So look at that. If you had an infestation and didn't bring the building down to studs and just went right over that, you would think you were well insulated, when in fact most of that is just basically open to the outside. And then when you combine the damage to the vapor barrier or water barrier from the exterior sheathing, which in this case is the tar paper, which should be a continuous barrier all the way around, so that any water that gets behind that pine siding is staying back there, not getting in your insulation. In this case, it's just amazing. I hadn't looked behind these before. It's the last little bit I have to tear out because there was wood stacked up here that I moved, obviously, to get to this last spot so I can get this insulation in plastic bags. But a lot of people will have a mice infestation or a rodent infestation and they'll kill the mice or get rid of the rodents and think that everything's good, but you're probably dealing with much less insulation than you should be. And for cabins, like this, that might spend some time unoccupied, it's very important to keep any food sources in containers, glass containers, metal containers. Although on this house, there were some food containers in here from the last owners, and the mice had actually eaten through like metal coffee cans to get to what was inside. So it's very important to seal your food if you're not going to be around. That will keep rodents from entering, and then getting rid of them as soon as you notice them. There's one other point I was going to make that I forgot about. Let me think. And for insulation, mice love fiberglass insulation. It's generally the cheapest type of insulation, so people go with it more often. But the Roxul, Roxul, and made by Rockwool, I think is the company that makes it. Mice don't like that. I don't think that they can nest with it. They can't tear it up the same way they do with fiberglass insulation. And then spray foam is also a lot more deterrent of mice. So I'm going to try to do spray foam throughout this entire building. I might end up doing Roxol in the walls, but stay tuned. I've got to go through all of the areas where there's damage to the tar paper, and what's recommended on those areas is you can actually from the inside put a piece of tar paper, you know, staple it off there, run it across here, staple it off there to fix that issue. So I'll spend some time going through these areas and fixing up that tar paper before I re-insulate. And I'll of course try to document that as best I can when I do it. But Bandit and I just wanted to share with you what we're doing today. Beautiful day. A lot of melting's gonna happen today, probably in the 50s here. So we'll share our progress as we go. That's what we're up to today, cleaning up some of that wood, getting it moved out, throw a tarp over this now that I think the threat of snow is mostly gone, and if we do get snow, it's going to melt relatively quickly. So that's what we're up to today. Stay tuned and we'll continue sharing our progress.